I have used this particular character and setting in my opening sequence to my film, Escape, to represent the working/middle class. When taking inspiration from the film Fish Tank, it's obvious that she is living in a very working class environment. This is shown by the way that she speaks, the area that she lives in, and the clothes that she wears. In both Fish Tank and My Very Own, they share the same similarity that a young white female girl dominates the opening sequence. Throughout my opening sequence, we don't get to experience the outside location that Katie lives in. However, we do get a general feel for her class due to the clothes that she wears and the interior of her house. Unlike Fish Tank, we don't get to experience how the character talks and the outside location and setting that she lives in, but I feel as if what I've shown of Katie is enough for the audience to get a sense of her working/middle class. The shot at the end of the opening sequence features Katie sitting and anxiously waiting for the results of her pregnancy test. In this, I decided to use a high-angle shot as it would represent how small Katie is feeling, and we would be able to fully connect with how she is feeling. Finally, I decided to use an over-the-shoulder shot of my last image of Katie. In this, we see her crying into her hands in the mirror's reflection. I decided to do this particular shot as we see her emotion, but also because we can still visibly see the bruises that are on her back. I believe that this would be a good shot to end it on, as it leaves the audience wanting more, so many enigma codes have been raised throughout the process. Similarly, when researching the film Trainspotting, it came out to be very similar in the way that they get to experience the character's location, the clothes that they wear, and the way that they speak and the language that they use. We get a clear understanding that this is another working-class film due to the clothes that the main character Renton is wearing, his shabby location, and the fact that he is smoking and gives off the vibe that he has limited income. Like in Trainspotting, where a narrative is used over the top of the sequence itself, I decided that I didn't want to apply this to mine, as I wanted to raise as many enigma codes within the 2 initial minutes as possible. Using a narrative can get the sense of the story if there is only one character, and also gives away more of their class as we get to experience how they talk. However, to go along with raising my enigma codes, I decided to leave my opening sequence without any narrative, as this way I found it more effective and intense. I decided to show that Katie had been abused, as this helped to enforce the fact that she or the person that abused her were from a lower class status. This may make the audience question whether the person that had abused her had a very rough upbringing or may have been involved in gangs and simply gone down the wrong route as a younger teen. This is another aspect that helps with raising the enigma codes as well as portraying the social groups of the characters. Looking at the similarities and the inspiration that I took from both and applied to my very own opening sequence was the way in which the main character is the very initial thing that is introduced into the film. In both film opening sequences, we see nothing before we see the main character. For example, in Fish Tank, where we see the girl in her East London flat, and in Trainspotting, where we see the man being chased down the street. In my film, the first thing we see is the girl asleep in bed, which is inspired by both of my research films. I chose to represent my character in the way that I did, as I had a varied audience that would be able to relate and feel affection for the girl.